The lost treasure of Captain Silverbeard. Every child on the island had heard the legend. It was said that centuries ago, the infamous pirate Captain Silverbeard had hidden his treasure somewhere on the remote and mysterious Skull Island. Some said the treasure was cursed, others that it didn't exist at all. But young Jake knew the truth. The treasure did exist, and he would find it. One day, while exploring the dusty attic of his late grandfather, Jake stumbled upon an old, yellowed map. Could this be the very treasure map he'd been searching for his whole life? He carefully unrolled it, revealing faded markings and cryptic symbols. The map led to the lost treasure of Captain Silverbeard. But Jake wasn't alone in his quest. His grandfather's parrot, Coco, also took interest in the map, squawking excitedly as if urging Jake to set sail immediately. And who better to join him on his adventure than his best friend, Lily, a spirited girl with a thirst for excitement and a talent for solving riddles. Together, they would face treacherous seas, solve cryptic clues, and outwit a rival pirate crew in search of the same treasure. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows on the dock, Jake, armed with the treasure map and a heart full of hope, prepared to embark on his adventure. With Coco perched on his shoulder and Lily by his side, he stepped into his sturdy little boat and began to row away from the familiar shores towards the unknown. The journey to Skull Island was fraught with peril. Storms tossed their small boat like a leaf in the wind, waves crashing over them and threatening to swallow them whole. At one point, lightning struck the mast, sending splinters flying and leaving them lost and without direction. But through it all, Coco, with his sharp eyes and keen sense of direction, guided them back on course, squawking directions and warnings whenever they strayed too far off track. Just when their spirits started to dwindle, the sky cleared. The wind calmed and the sun peeked through the clouds, painting the sea with glittering diamonds. And there it was, rising majestically from the waves. Skull Island, shrouded in mist and mystery. The sight sent a shiver down their spines, a mixture of fear and excitement. As they landed on the sandy beach, Jake couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched. Tall, gnarled trees loomed over them, their branches intertwining to form a dense canopy that blocked out the sun. Strange, eerie sounds echoed through the thick foliage, rustling leaves and screeching birds. Suddenly, Coco ruffled his feathers and let out a sharp squawk, hopping from one foot to another. Jake knew that look. It meant danger. Startled, he grabbed his sword, ready to defend himself against whatever lurked in the shadows. From behind a large rock, a band of snarling, ragged pirates emerged, their eyes gleaming with greed and malice. They blocked the path to the island's interior, effectively trapping Jake, Lily, and Coca. Leading the group was a burly man with a cruel scar running down his face. One-Eyed Pete, notorious for his ruthlessness and his uncanny ability to sniff out treasure. Well, what do we have here? One-Eyed Pete sneered, eyeing the treasure map in Jake's hand. Looks like we got ourselves some company. And what brings you swabbies to this forsaken island? Jake stood his ground, though his heart pounded in his chest. We're looking for the lost treasure of Captain Silverbeard, he declared, meeting One-Eyed Pete's gaze defiantly. So are we, Pete growled, his eyes flashing with greed. But we found this island first, and besides, that treasure is nothing but a fairy tale. If it ever existed, he lunged forward, sword raised, intending to snatch the map from Jake's grasp. A fierce battle ensued. Jake, fueled by adrenaline and a desire to protect his friend and the treasure map, fought with unexpected ferocity. Lily, agile and quick-witted, dodged the pirates' attacks, while Coco screeched from atop Jake's shoulder, occasionally pecking at the pirates' faces to distract them. Despite their valiant efforts, the odds were stacked against them. There were simply too many pirates, and their numbers seemed endless. Just when it seemed like they were about to be overwhelmed, a sudden gust of wind whipped through the trees, snatching the treasure map right out of Jake's hand. It floated away, dancing on the breeze like a colorful butterfly. "The map!" Jake cried out, watching it disappear into the dense foliage. One-Eyed Pete's eyes narrowed. "So that's where it is," he muttered, turning to his men. "Split up and find that map. I want it, and I want that treasure." The pirates vanished into the underbrush, their voices echoing through the trees. With the distraction created by the fight and the sudden disappearance of the map, Jake realized they had a chance to escape. He motioned for Lily to follow him, and together they ran deeper into the island. the sound of the approaching pirates urging them on. As they ventured further into the island's heart, they discovered an old, moss-covered statue of a man with a parrot on his shoulder. The statue seemed to beckon them forward, its weathered hand pointing towards a narrow path hidden behind a curtain of vines. They followed the path, which led them to a clearing. In the center stood a large stone monolith engraved with strange symbols and markings. Suddenly, Coco flew down and perched on top of the monolith, squawking loudly. Then, as if understanding something, he hopped down and started pecking at the base of the stone, revealing a small keyhole. Jake pulled out the key he'd found earlier, the one that matched the markings on the map. He inserted it into the keyhole and turned. The stone monolith rumbled, then slowly began to rotate, revealing a dark opening behind it. They cautiously entered to find themselves in a secret cavern. The air inside was thick with the scent of old wood and something else, something magical and ancient. Their eyes slowly adjusted to the dim light filtering in from a crack in the ceiling, revealing a sight that took their breath away. Before them lay a vast chamber filled with chests overflowing with gold coins, sparkling gems and precious artifacts. Sunlight streamed through a hole in the roof, illuminating swirling dust particles and highlighting the intricate carvings on the walls. Among the treasure, Jake noticed something that made him stop in his tracks. A golden amulet in the shape of a parrot with emerald eyes. He picked it up, feeling a surge of energy as he slipped it around his neck. As if awakened by his touch, the parrot on the statue came to life, flapping its wings and squawking excitedly. Coco flew towards the statue, chirping and preening the parrot's feathers. The living parrot, with a mischievous glint in his eye, looked at Jake and spoke in a surprisingly human voice. "Well met, young adventurer. I am the guardian of this place, and I have been waiting for you." Taken aback by the talking parrot, Jake stammered, "Waiting for me? But why?" The parrot hopped onto Jake's shoulder. "Because you possess the silver tongue," he said mysteriously. "A gift that will help you uncover the true treasure of Captain Silverbeard." Following the parrot's guidance, they continued their exploration, discovering ancient scrolls containing maps, star charts, and tales of daring adventures. Each scroll seemed to whisper secrets of the universe, granting Jake glimpses of forgotten knowledge. Then they came across a crystal ball resting on a pedestal. As Jake gazed into its depths, he saw visions of the past, of Captain Silverbeard and his crew sailing the seas, battling storms and outwitting enemies. But it wasn't just battles and adventures he witnessed. He also saw moments of kindness and compassion, of how Captain Silverbeard's generosity and wisdom touched the lives of ordinary people. It became clear to Jake that the real treasure of Captain Silverbeard wasn't just material wealth. It was the legacy of courage, kindness, and wisdom that he left behind. As Jake pondered the meaning of Silverbeard's legacy, he felt a profound sense of responsibility. He realized that the greatest treasure was not the gold or the jewels, but the opportunity to make a positive impact on the world. Inspired by Captain Silverbeard's example, Jake decided to use his newfound knowledge and understanding to help others. He returned home with a renewed sense of purpose, sharing the stories and wisdom he'd discovered with everyone he met. The people of the island were captivated by Jake's dailies and inspired by his call to action. Together, they worked to improve their community, becoming more generous, courageous, and wise as they faced new challenges. And so the legend of Captain Silverbeard lived on, not just in the hearts of the islanders, but in the actions they took to make their world a better place. As for Jake, he continued to explore, always seeking new adventures and always carrying with him the lessons learned from the lost treasure of Captain Silverbeard.